Welcome to our Maryland Rush presentation on Rushfest 2023. Rushfest this summer will be held July 9th to 14th in Port St. Lucie, Florida. Rushfest this is from the Rushfest website. It's a week-long soccer festival, unlike anything that anybody's been to before. It's actually a little bit shorter. It's 5 days, and it is truly unique to Rush Soccer. There's really no other organization in the world that can host something like this and pull it off. You'll see here they tell the teams bring their Rush spirit, their loudest team chants, passion to play the game. You'll hear a lot of that at it. And you play against Rush teams from all over the country and possibly some international teams. This is literally a once-in-a-lifetime event because it is only open to Rush teams in the summer between U12 and U13. So if you're not a Rush player, you can't go, and if you're not in the right on a team in the right age group, you also can't go. So it really is a once-in-a-lifetime chance. As I said, it's unique to Rush Soccer. If you think about how soccer camps normally work, they have kids of many different ages and many different skill levels. You have rec players mixed in with travel players, and while the camps can be good, they're very different. At Rushfest, you basically have 600 players all playing in the same age group. All players are travel soccer players, so they're players that have trained a lot and are very good players. They come from all over the U.S. Last year we had teams from Hawaii, California, Washington State, Florida, Tennessee, Minnesota. We even had some foreign Rush clubs. We had a few girls from Bolivia Rush staying in our hotel. The thing that makes it additionally great is that all the players have a common bond of playing for the same national club. So they all think of each other as Rush clubs. So on the field, they're very competitive with one another, but then off the field, they have this common bond that allows them to form very fast friendships. Here I just have some examples from last summer. Maryland Rush 10G team went. And this is them shown here with two players from Lobos Rush, which is actually in Tennessee. It was Tennessee Rush, who came and spent the week with us and played on our team. This was Oakley and Lila, who became very good friends with all the girls. On the right is a picture from 2013 that shows a group of girls that had all been at Rushfest together. My daughter, Sarah, and there's a couple fairly well-known players here. Sunshine Fontes plays for UCLA. And Chardonnay plays for Kansas City in the NWSL. And all these other players also went on to play in college, but I can't recall what their names were. So a likely schedule for the Rush Fest, July 9th is a Sunday. We would travel to Port St. Lucie, Florida, check into the hotel, and then in the evening they typically would have the opening ceremony. And then on Monday and Tuesday, the 10th and 11th, we typically would play a game in the morning. Tuesday we'd play a game in the morning and a game in the afternoon and have a classroom session in the afternoon. On Monday, in the past, they played one game in the morning. They've done some sort of event like street soccer or sand soccer where they mix kids from different states in the afternoon, and then they have a classroom session. Wednesday in the past has been an off day to allow the kids to recover after traveling and playing the games on Monday and Tuesday. Thursday, they return again where they play a game in the morning, a game in the afternoon, and a classroom session in the afternoon. And then Friday is again a travel day. I guess Thursday night they'd have the closing ceremony. Friday would be a travel day. So in the morning they'd play a game, and then in the afternoon they would travel home. The opening ceremony, the closest thing I could think of what it's like a rock concert. And this is a video from standing outside the hotel where they held the opening ceremony. If you cannot do the bouncy, if you cannot do the bouncy, if you cannot do the bouncy, you're no Rush. You're no Rush! So this was sort of cheerful in front, somebody from National Rush, but also you have individual Rush clubs, but it's close to 60 teams of 10 to 15 kids per team from all over the country. If you cannot do Once they get inside, uh, in the ballroom where they do it, it's even more like a rock concert, just with a lot of 12-year-olds screaming at the top of their lungs. So each day you play games from teams from other states. Here we have just two examples from last summer. This is our Maryland Rush 10G team with Quad Cities Rush. We had to look Quad Cities up. It turns out it's on the border of Iowa and Illinois. And then the other picture was Hawaii Rush. The way they do this is that they seed the teams into groups based on recommendations from the coaches and technical directors. So last summer for the girls, we had 3 brackets, and also for the boys, they had 3 brackets. Because we didn't have a complete team and we were going to be getting some players from another state, we didn't know how strong they were going to be, so I requested the third division, which was the orange division on the bottom. You see they put out the schedule. Um, Lots of rivalry between the different states. We played very, very well, and so we won big the first 2 days. And so after the games on Tuesday, they allow teams to request higher or lower divisions. So we moved up from the third division to the first division, and other teams moved, up and down to try to get more competitive games. For us, it worked out really well because we had in our last 3 games, I think we had 2 ties and a loss. But it was nice because we played Coastal Rush from Florida and we played Hawaii Rush, which is actually a very good team. We tied Hawaii Rush. Um, there's lots of guest playing that goes on because most of the teams will have between, say 12 and 15 players. And as the week goes on, players get tired, they get injured, they get sick. So what happens is that the few teams that have more players, the players will hang around the fields and guest play with other states. So we had girls from Amarillo Rush in Texas play with us, and we had some of our players play a game later in the week with Quad Cities Rush and some others with Twin Cities Rush from Minnesota. So it's another way for the kids to make new friends and get experience playing with kids from other parts of the country. This is just an example of what the Rushfest schedule looks like, uh, where they put it out in an Excel document. So whatever color you are, we were in the orange group Monday, Tuesday, so we played our games were at the Monday, Tuesday time where it's at orange, and same with the classroom session. But that's just an example of what the schedule looks like. The classroom sessions are actually pretty interesting. The kids enjoyed them. It's an opportunity for them to get out of the heat, go in the air conditioning. Uh, and Josh Tyler ran the classroom sessions last year. He's from National Rush, and he is in charge of what they call the CAP program, which is the College Advisory Program. So he spends all of his time, working to help place Rush players on college teams. And the 3 presentations last year, the first one I think was on passion and purpose. The second one was on the Rush core values, and I can't remember the third one, but it was something similar to that. But the idea was to kind of motivate the kids to work hard and show responsibility. I think I mentioned on Monday afternoon they usually try to do an event where they mix the kids from the different states. So the one on the left is from last summer. They did street soccer, which is really just 5v5 on the grass soccer fields. But basically on every team, it was all kids from different states. So you couldn't be on a team with any of the teammates from your state. Back in 2013, we did sand soccer down in Virginia Beach. I've suggested they do that again this year, but I don't know yet whether or not they will be able to do it. The off day is, sort of a team bonding day, but it allows the team to go out and recover a little bit. Last year was in Colorado, so we did whitewater rafting. It's on the right, and in the evening, uh, everybody went to a professional men's game in Colorado and Denver. I think there were about 400 Rush players that went to that game, so that was a lot of fun for the kids. This year, there's a whole lot of different things that people can do on the off day. Usually, they send out a list and links of options, but Disney and Universal Studios in Orlando are certainly a possibility. But there's a bunch of other activities that are available at the resort facility. Some of the things that they have is they use a program called an app called Discord that allows communication with all the coaches, and so they send out messages all week long. So if one of your kids leaves a phone at a field, you put a message out, and then if one of the coaches from the next game sees the message, they can get the phone and get it back to you. But we had a funny one last year that came out that the final, you see the final message in this, is that a Toyota 4Runner was missing, that somebody had driven away in a rental car that wasn't theirs. And then a couple hours later, we got a message saying that, in fact, it was found that it was a parent from another team who had the exact same rental car and their keys worked in it, so that was returned. But it was a pretty effective way for people to find guest players if you knew you were going to be short players, or say if you didn't have a goalie, you'd send a message out on Discord saying, "Hey, we need a goalie at 11 a.m. on field 4," and then typically somebody would respond and say, "Hey, we're going to send our goalie over to help you out." Closing ceremony, the big thing there is what they call the swap, where the kids from each state will bring, some kind of souvenir, that represents their state. So most states will have T-shirts. I think we gave every Maryland Rush player two T-shirts, two Maryland Rush T-shirts. Usually, I think each one of them kept one, and then they traded one. And I think we also got some like Maryland flag, headbands or something that they were also able to swap for smaller things. So that's something that's kind of like kids trading Halloween candy, but there's 600 kids, all 12 years old, running around, trading over and over again, trying to get something that they really like. So the reason they're having it in Port St. Lucie is that they have something there called the Altitude Academies. That is basically it's like a sports academy, and they have a bunch of different sports there. But for soccer, they partnered with Rush Soccer, so they call the soccer boarding academy Rush Altitude Boarding Academy. And this is a pretty cool place. If you Google it, you can look it up, and they have a video showing the resort and the fields and the facilities and everything that are pretty impressive. But they'll use the facilities and the fields there, possibly some additional fields elsewhere, but it should be a very nice setting to have the Rushfest. One of the great things about it is that some clubs will send entire teams, some clubs will send partial teams, and some clubs will send just 1 to 2 players. And what National Rush will do is they'll combine kids from different states if there isn't a complete team, so that they can form a team. Last year, we had 2 players from Tennessee Rush, I mentioned before, that played with us all week. Back in 2013 when we went, I think we had 14 players, and then we had 2 players from Colorado Rush here in the front that played with us. And the thing about this is the kids become friends. So my daughter is now 22, and she still is in communication with one of these 2 girls who she remained friends with and remains friends with today. So the cost for Rush Fest, I kind of broke them out into a couple different categories: the registration fee, the transportation, the lodging, and the food. The registration fee is actually very inexpensive. It's $140 a player. If we have a full team, so say we have more than 10 players, I'm sorry, more than 12 players. Say we have 13, we can register as a team, so it's $1,800. And then if we have 15 or 16, it's actually a little bit cheaper. But that's the smallest expense. Airfare, I did some searching on Southwest, which maybe will be recovered hopefully by then. But the fares were pretty cheap. There's 3 airports not too far away: West Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, and Orlando. And you can see West Palm and Fort Lauderdale, the fare was $326 round trip. Orlando was $368 round trip. I also looked into a van rental from West Palm Beach, and it was $675 for a 12-person van, which is pretty good. The hotel, actually, I meant to update this. The Sandpiper Resort, the fees listed on the Rushfest website are not correct. It actually costs about $170 a player. So I made reservations. I reserved a block of rooms at the Holiday Inn Port St. Lucie. In those rooms, it's $132 per night for a room with 2 queen beds. And I've sent around a link for that. If you want to reserve a room out of that block, you can do so. If the block runs out, there were additional rooms at that hotel that you can reserve through the Rushfest website. If you go to the Rushfest website and then click on other hotels, um, and then